Coming up next on Good Morning El Paso, President Obama is trying to muster up support for a new trade deal. ABC 7 has exclusive coverage from Washington, D.C. with a one-on-one interview.
Here in Texas, former Governor Rick Perry has a big announcement to make today. He's launching his run for the White House.
And in New Mexico, residents are not too happy with the proposed jump in their electric bills. New this morning what they had to say to the electric company last night.
Live, where news comes first. From the Mesilla Valley and Las Cruces to El Paso and the borderland. This is ABC 7's Good Morning El Paso.
Good morning. It's been hot and sunny so far this week, but could a rare June thunderstorm ruin any of those weekend plans?
Well, we are expecting a little rain to make its way to the borderland in the coming days, but when exactly? Well, we'll let you know in just a second.
In the meantime, very good morning to El Paso, Las Cruces, and Juarez. I'm Stephanie Valle.
And I'm Hillary Florin. Good morning, everyone. Now let's get to Crystal. She's got to look at the forecast and all the answers.
All the answers that maybe you've been waiting for or maybe don't want to hear. We're still talking another hot afternoon ahead of us, but a good morning start. We're at 69 degrees in El Paso right now. This is certainly a little bit cooler than what we saw yesterday morning. Now, we actually started yesterday morning, low 80s, moved to those mid-upper 70s. So, nice start out there. 69 in El Paso. Your winds are at 7 miles per hour right now. Over to Las Cruces, we're looking at 61 degrees. Your winds at 7 miles per hour as well. These temperatures, though, just like yesterday, they're still going to shoot right back into those 90s. We're still talking mid to upper 90s from Las Cruces to El Paso. On your clouds and radar map, there's no rain for us to track. I sound a little bit repetitive, right? It's been like that day after day, but I don't think I'm going to be sounding so repetitive in the days to come. We're looking at chances of rain pretty steady by your weekend thanks to tropical moisture moving in. We're going to track Hurricane Blanca coming up.
All right, looking forward to it. Thanks so much, Crystal. And now to coverage you'll see only here on ABC 7. The president trying to push the biggest trade agreement in world history, and the borderland is a major part of that plan. ABC 7's Estela Casas is one of only 5 broadcasters from across the country who is invited to interview the president. He is looking for support on Capitol Hill for the proposed Trans-Pacific Trade Agreement. It would link the U.S. and 11 countries along the Pacific Rim. China is also considering joining, but it would have to agree with the standards set by all countries involved. Will the president even have enough votes, though, to strike a deal? ABC 7's Estela Casas files this report from Washington, D.C.
It was the chance of a lifetime. As reporters, we dream of visiting the White House someday and seeing a sitting president. But on Wednesday, I had the privilege of not only seeing the most powerful leader of the free world, but I also got to ask him questions of global importance and issues that affect our border community. Here's a glimpse of my 5-minute interview.
But what do you tell El Pasoans who have a direct effect of NAFTA since 1994? What do you tell them to reassure them that this is a good thing for not only the borderland, but for Texas?
Well, I think it's important to recognize that there were real problems with some past trade agreements because they didn't have strong enforceable labor and environmental provisions. Globalization and technology has sometimes made it harder for workers to have leverage in terms of getting raises and incomes. But the truth is that if a company is looking for low-wage labor, they've already left. They're not here anymore. And if it hasn't been because they moved overseas, it's because technology replaced those jobs. The key now for us is to make sure that the jobs we are creating, the places where we have an advantage in high skill, high value jobs, that we are able to compete on a world stage and we are able to sell our products made in America anywhere in the world. And that's what this trade authorization does. So it has a lot of safeguards that weren't there before, but more importantly, we can't just shut ourselves off.
By the way, I said thank you and gracias, and the president looked at me and smiled and said muchas gracias. I also got a hug. So it was an experience I will never forget, an experience that I will be sharing with my family and with the community. On Capitol Hill, I'm Estela Casas, ABC 7.
For people living on the border, the president's trade plan is eerily similar to NAFTA, which they say destroyed jobs and standards of living for many.
No! Workers, yes!
Outside Congressman Beto O'Rourke's office was the scene of an anti-TPP protest yesterday. There are many who say this is a bad deal, with numerous protests popping up around the globe. They say opening up economies to foreign investments doesn't create jobs, it destroys them. Although the president promises safeguards, many are concerned the agreement will only protect the interests of the largest multinational corporations.
I don't think there's anybody who doesn't remember the transition that happened post-94. And they can tell us all they want that this is going to create more jobs. That's what we heard from Clinton in 94. That's what we've heard every single time. And the data doesn't show it.
Rafael Navar, who we just heard from, says since NAFTA in 1994, residents here have been seeing a loss of income.
El Paso Congressman Beto O'Rourke now finds himself in a very critical position. He's feeling pressure from both sides of the House as he is one of the few in Congress still undecided on exactly how he'll vote. ABC 7 caught up with Beto O'Rourke in Washington. He tells us he's listening to all of the input. O'Rourke called the decision one of the most important that he'll make in Congress.
We are one of the, if not the leading trade communities in the country. So we, more than anyone else, need to take this issue seriously, make the best possible decision for the country. And I'm confident after I've had a chance to listen to everyone that we will.
And our coverage continues online at kvia.com. There you'll find additional stories on the president's trade plan, as well as Estella's entire interview with the president. You can find all that and more right now. Just go to kvia.com.
Former Texas Governor Rick Perry is poised to officially announce his second presidential run today. He's expected to make his announcement at an airport in Addison, Texas. Perry's website was updated early this morning with presidential campaign logos and branding. It will make him the 10th Republican candidate to throw his hat in the ring for the 2016 GOP nomination. The former Texas governor ran but lost in the 2012 race.
Well, we are learning more about the rollover that shut down US 54 yesterday in northeast El Paso. Now, it happened in the southbound lanes near Sean Haggerty. Police say the driver, 37-year-old John Jacob Dakin, suffered a medical event that caused him to lose control of his vehicle. His passenger tried to regain control of the car, but it hit a street sign and rolled. Dakin was taken to the hospital where he died. His passenger was not seriously hurt.
El Paso Electric continues to make its case for a proposed rate increase in New Mexico. EPE is holding town hall meetings with customers to address questions and concerns. And as you can imagine, not everyone is on board. Good morning, El Paso's Denise Olivas is live with the story. Denise.
Good morning. El Paso Electric needs the extra money to recover a $1.3 billion investment in clean energy and new infrastructure, and it'll be New Mexico customers who will be paying for that. EPE is proposing a 9% base rate increase for residential customers and a 20% boost for street and other outdoor lighting, among other increases. In the process to approve the increase will take about a year. The New Mexico Public Regulation will make the final call, and now the city of Las Cruces is stepping in to make its own presentation to the regulation board. Just last week, the city manager said a hike this drastic is alarming. El Paso Electric CEO says that they will do what they can to keep the public informed.
And we want to make sure that we clear it up to the best of our ability so people understand, first of all, why we need these this change in our rates, and it's because we've committed quite a bit of capital to make sure we could meet the needs of our growing economy, both in southern New Mexico and West Texas, and it'll allow our communities to thrive and have sufficient power to power our future.
And again, El Paso Electric saying that there will be several community town hall meetings held in order to keep those customers informed and to address any of their questions or concerns. For now, we're live in Sunland Park, New Mexico. Denise Olivas, ABC 7.
Thanks so much, Denise. And now on to the terror investigation in Boston. Law enforcement sources say that a woman named Pamela Geller organized a contest for drawings of the Prophet Muhammad. That is her there. And she was the target of a beheading plot by the man killed in Boston early Tuesday. Geller says she has had, quote, an army of security since two men were shot outside her contest in Garland, Texas. She is a conservative activist and blogger, but she's been called an extremist by the Southern Poverty Law Center. Usama Rahim, the man accused of spearheading that plot, was shot and killed after waving a military knife at law enforcement officers in Boston. We'll have more on this story coming up later on Good Morning El Paso.
It is coming up on 6:10, and here's a look at I-10 in Copia and central El Paso. You can see that traffic is moving along pretty smoothly, no problems to tell you about. I do know that the exit at Copia, or Piedras rather, from I-10 West was closed this morning. Not sure when that's going to open, but just in case, keep that in mind.
And we have much more to come right here on Good Morning El Paso today.
Why the bomb squad had to come out when a Fort Bliss soldier was arrested on child porn charges.
Also, could Russia lose out on hosting the World Cup after the corruption scandal that is shaking FIFA to the core?
And also, Storm Track weather meteorologist Crystal Cly is standing by with a preview of your full forecast. Crystal.
We have one more day of the heat, then we're talking a cool down with rain chances. The details are right after your break.
Thanks, Crystal. This is ABC 7, where news comes first.